From Memphis to Dallas, Mississippi to Washington, D.C., we're seeing demonstrations across the country as people on both sides of the abortion issue make their voices heard before the biggest challenge to abortion rights in years. And just based on the oral arguments today, the Supreme Court seems willing to uphold Mississippi's abortion law. That could overturn Roe v. Wade, a decision that stopped states from banning abortions before a fetus is generally considered viable, around 23 weeks. Now, Morgan Young has been following all these developments. Any time frame on the High Court's ruling?
Well, Chris, it could be months before we get that, but there is a lot at stake here. And I want to kind of bring it back here to Texas and really break down the difference between Mississippi's law and what was passed here in Texas back in September. For starters, Texas Senate Bill 8 is in effect. Mississippi's law is not in effect. Of course, the Supreme Court is going to make that decision. Second, Texas law bans abortions at 6 weeks. Mississippi at 15 weeks. But the biggest difference between these two is how they are enforced. We've talked about this a lot. Texas's law is enforced by private citizens who can file lawsuits against people they believe are helping someone else get an abortion. In Mississippi, this law would be enforced by the state. And this is the part of this law that really means that if it were to be upheld, it would directly contradict the precedent set by Roe versus Wade. And that is why a lot of people are talking about this. In fact, Mississippi's Attorney General directly asked for that decision to be overturned. And if that were to happen, it would have a really big impact across the country.
They started preparing after Senate Bill 8 passed in September.
We have seen an influx of patients coming to our states from Texas.
They expanded hours and added staff.
Especially our centers in Oklahoma City and in Tulsa, which both provide abortion care.
Emily Wales is the interim president of Planned Parenthood Great Plains. She says even all of that isn't enough.
The need far surpasses what we're able to provide.
The region includes Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. Wales says last year, between September and November, about 50 Texans traveled to its clinics for abortions. This year, during that same 3-month period, more than 800.
The system in our region is already overburdened for abortion access.
If Roe v. Wade is overturned, there are a dozen states poised to ban abortions completely. Texas is on that list. So are Arkansas and Oklahoma. The closest facility a person from Dallas could access would be in Wichita, Kansas, a nearly 6-hour drive.
We do not have enough providers. We don't have them in places that are accessible to many people, especially from Texas.
The Supreme Court has more conservative justices than it's had in years. To many, that means Mississippi's law could likely stand, and the precedent set by Roe v. Wade could come down.
We continue to be very, very excited. It's something that some of us have worked for nearly 5 decades, and it's just amazing to be at this point, actually.
In Dallas, I'm Morgan Young.